Plumbing. Yes, plumbing. It moves water from one place to the other. Pipe the crap out of your gaming table. It's the best thing to happen to the Imperium since, well, the Imperium. Plumbing. That's right, today we are building some pipe terrain pieces in order to use for your home gaming table. Now, the reason why I'm showing you how to do these is because the official kits from GW are a bit pricey. Let's take a look at that. Yeah. This kit, the thermatic plasma conduits, is actually out of stock / out of production. Can't actually get it on GamesW website, but it's $55. Just the pipes from the current box sets, it's the Command Edition starter set and the expansion pack for that, are going between $28 and $29 and $34 on eBay. But what we're going to use today, some simple STEM learning tool toys. I got this whole bucket. There's 250 pipe pieces in here. Okay? Got all of this. An entire gaming table plus worth of pipes. Like, you could play an entire pipe table. This kit only cost $39. You get all of this. You get all of this for $39. Just $39. So what did I do? Well, basically just opened it up, grab some pieces that I like. Ooh, there's some pieces I already got to put together. But yeah, you just grab out the pieces you want, how big of a pipe you want to make, and just plug them together. I'm gonna make some funky little S-shaped pipe. Bam, got an S-shaped pipe. Make a little U-shaped pipe, U-shaped pipe. Sky's the limit. Your imagination. You get to play with your toys. In fact, if you don't glue these together, you can make a module. You can take them apart. Just don't put any paint on these because these are already pretty tight fit. So just put it together, prime it up. That's actually what this one's been done with. Just put it together, primed it, and then pop it apart. Paint just on the black parts, and you're good. But I don't want to just do black primer paint. I want a zenithal prime. So the first step that I did after I put my pipes together was zenithal prime. And here you can see the pipes all zenithal prime, ready for paint. But what kind of paint are we going to use? All right. See how I want to do this cheap, because $39 divided by 250, that's this is 16 cents. This is 16 cents a segment compared to just getting a small scattering. It's just going to cost enough to do like a little area on your gaming table. $34 plus shipping. Oh. So, alright, paints I use in this. I wanted to keep the price cheap, so I'm using cheap acrylic craft paint for my base coats. I've got antique copper, gunmetal, then I went a little more fancy with some of my other painting supplies. I've got Vallejo's acrylic metal cover, white aluminum. And I did use some Games Workshop paints. My painting table is a Alien Xenos purple snow, so I'm using some Druchi violet shade and Also going to be using another fine art supply, white gesso. All right, gesso is a thick-bodied acrylic paint medium that is actually used for priming canvases before you get ready to paint on them. It's actually how you do the Bob Ross wet on wet style, where you coat your canvas with gesso so it's got a wet, sticky texture, much like they used to do with frescoes. And then you can easily wet blend in your paints on your canvas. It's also how you prime canvases. You just basically paint whatever you wanted to paint on with some gesso. The gesso works as a primer, sticks on, and then the paint sticks to the gesso better. So that's why I've got gesso, because I used to use this for altering magic cards. I'd paint down a gesso primer on the areas where I wanted to paint, and then paint over. Nowadays, in mini painting, this is the perfect white paint for dry brushing. Alright, so let's look at the pipes. Let's look at the first step. We're going to slap on, after we've zenithal primed. I'm going to do a video on zenithal priming later. Once we have the zenithal prime down, we're going to start off with our first layer of gunmetal. Alright, just want to get a good coverage on the parts that we want to. I've been the thicker pipe sections I'm going to leave unpainted. These are for the thinner pipe sections. Also for the inside of the wheel on my big long L-shaped pieces. And yeah, just put a good first coat. I mean, this craft paint is not the best in the world for coverage, so you're definitely going to have some spots that are going to be thinner, which is good. Lets our zenithal prime really show through. But you are going to want to use this in 2 layers. Because craft paint has such a hard time sticking and staying on the model, I don't thin this down. I use it straight out of the bottle, that consistency. And I'm just putting a good coat down. I'm going to give this plenty of time to dry. Great thing is I'm doing this in a batch painting process, so I can paint one section, come back, and then paint the next. So yeah, once we have our gunmetal base coats put down on all of our narrow section of pipe and all the rest of the places we want to have silver, we're going to come back in with our antique bronze, antique copper, sorry. That's going to be hit on all of our thick sections of pipe. So this is like all the fittings that are holding our pipe together are going to be hit with that. I got one more paint that I forgot to pull out while I'm doing all of this. We've got, but we're going to come to that in a little bit. Alright, so once we've got all of our first coats of gunmetal and copper, we're going to go back over these with a second layer to really get that good coverage, get those smooth paint consistencies. So we'll come back in with some more gunmetal, and then once that dries, we'll go back over and hit up our copper. Okay, then once we've got our gunmetals and our coppers, we're going to use some true burgundy, and we're going to paint these wheels, because it's something I've always seen done on especially like water knobs or something like that, to have the wheel be color coded. So I don't know what they're using red for to color code what these pipes are shipping, but they're, you know, usually that's hot water. So maybe it is hot water geothermal energy coming out of the ground to heat up the complexes here on this alien frozen world, trying to get pipe that heat out from down below. So they've got hot water running through these pipes. These pipes' wheels are going to get painted red. Alright, once I have got all of my pipes painted, probably going to come back, definitely want to come back in with a second coat on our burgundy. So once we've got our base coat, our double base coat, you know, layer 1, layer 2, done, the next step is to grab a piece of foam. I've got pieces of foam that come in the Chessex dice cube boxes. Oh, little extra memory cards in there too. Anyways, so these little squares of foam, they're perfect. You can rip them apart, and that gives you some textured area. And what I'm going to do is just dab this into some of my white aluminum, and I'm just going to stipple this onto my pipes and the wheel, all the metal pieces of it, just to give myself some wear spots where basically the paint has chipped off or they're scratched up, just to make it look a little bit more beat up, dinged up, and like these pipes have been out in the elements for a long period of time. Alright, so once that's done, we need to put on our snow. Going to go in and basically take, this is Vallejo ground texture acrylic snow type. Basically I take this and I take a cheap kids crafting brush. These I get at the dollar store in packs of 10 for $1. They are my favorite for using for texture brushes, texture paints, and for using PVA glue. So anytime that I need to put on some glue or anything that's got a glue consistency into it, I don't want to use my actual good paint brushes. I just want to use this cheap crafting kids brush. It's cheap, as once it gets gunked up and the bristles spray out, you can just throw it right away, don't even worry about it. Or you can actually save all that bit of plastic and use it for other things in scratch building. So never really throw out everything. Keep your junk. Have a nice good box in your closet full of just random junk pieces. You never know where you're getting them. But anyways, yeah, we're just taking that texture snow texture, and we're just dabbing it on around the bottom of the pipes. They fit into the bases we've glued them onto, and then making a line across the top. So the snow that's accumulated and fallen on top of the pipe and hasn't fallen off. You're going to want to put some around any like flat areas, especially this part where the pipe, the wide pipe is sticking down to the ground. You're going to basically want to brush that at a downward angle so it only accumulates on that raised edge. Then, once you got that done, and you've got all of your pipes based, the part where the wheel fits into the ground base, because it's a little unstable, so I put a doubled up bases. This is a 28 and a 32 millimeter base that's on underneath my wheel here. When I put that on, that gave me more stability, makes it so the terrain doesn't tip over. And on top of that, I just put some extra snow on top of that wheel where that's collected. So once my snow is all down, I'm going to let that sit, dry for a few hours, then come back once the texture paint has fully cured. It's time for a wash, and that's where I'm going to come in with my purple wash, and basically just I use I don't know what kind of mop, I call it my mop brush. So it's a natural hair, long bristle, very soft brush that I use for putting washes on terrain. Actually, I use this one mini. This is my mop brush. I just dunk it in, get nice and loaded, and I just start mopping around. Once it dries up, I pull from pools elsewhere on the model and bring those over to different spots. But yeah, just load up my mop brush, and basically you want to base these pipes like they're chicken. Anywhere there's snow, you're going to put that on. Don't worry about extra overflow. That's just going to flow over and make it look like naturally occurring streaking whatever is in the snow that makes it purple. So that's going to give you your gunk and your grime. Then going to have to wait a couple more hours, make sure that's fully dried, come back in with my secret ingredient for dry brushing. If I can get it out of here. Dollar store makeup brushes. This is a dry brushing magic, okay? Because the gesso is so thick and gunky. All you gotta do is just dab it into the gesso. Just get a little bit of white on this. Rub it on a piece of plastic from, you know, some sort of like leftover takeout dish or something like that. Just a piece that you can smoosh it around, get it so the brush is nice and fully loaded and it's incorporated in, and then you just hit all of that snow with a back and forth motion. Don't worry if you get a little few pieces on the pipe. That will just be a little bit of snow it's a little bit of snow that's there, but it hasn't accumulated. So that will add even more detail and texture into your thing. But just brush that across the top of the snow. Anywhere there's snow, just dry brush. And when you're done, what's what you're going to have? This nice, shiny pipe, all that nice weathering damage. And I've got here all this cool snow effect, the purple tint, blend it all in with my rest of my gaming board. So yeah, and whatever basing material you're using for your minis, you can use that instead. Whatever wash you're using for your minis, use that wash instead. But the key things that you need for this build, you actually don't even need to use the bases. I use the bases because I wanted to have mounds of snow. You can actually glue these down to some cardboard or poster board, the foam core board. Just glue those down, make a little outline for your base, just something so it won't tip over as easily, and you're good. You got everything you need to be able to make your pipes. I made mine standing up. I'm going to rule that they do count as, they don't count for the movements. They're like their other pipes. I know they're a little bit more than an inch tall, but I just like this idea of they're up. You could easily lay them on their side like this, so people hunker down by them, but no, it's your toys. Play with them how you like. I'm just showing you what I've done, and if you want to pick up a set of those pipes, a bucket of those pipes for yourself to start building, I'll put a link to them on Amazon down below. And yeah, if there's any other things that you would like to know, please leave me a question in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you are subscribed, make sure you got the notification bell turned on so you get updates when we go live with new content. That's all for today, and I'll see you next Sunday with another hobby video. Peace!